beginning chapter, start talking solving linear equalities. Today's lesson is on writing and graphing inequalities. Their learning goal today is I will write and graph inequalities. You'll notice that I'm not using graph paper, and that's because we're just graphing on number lines for today, so we don't need to actually get out our graph paper for today. So remember inequalities. Inequalities are kind of like equations, where we're comparing two different quantities, but now instead of being equal to each other, which is what equations are, we are unequal. So we use our symbols that look like this. So this would be saying is less than, or another way of saying that is fewer than. For our greater than, we have greater than. We also have is more than. And this chart actually shows up in your book, but this guy is showing is less than or equal to. So if the two quantities are equal, this inequality symbol still holds. So is less than, oops, forgot the H, or equal to. Another way of saying that is at most. If I have at most $10, the most amount in my wallet is $10. So I have less than or equal to $10 in my wallet. Or another way of saying is no more than. And then finally, this is greater than or equal to. So is greater than or equal to. Another way of saying this one would be is at least. If I said I need at least 15 people to sign up for the team, then I need 15 or more. 15 would be the bare minimum. Another way of saying this is no less than. So these are the inequality symbols we're going to use. If you're given a word problem, you need to know which symbol applies to that situation. So we're going to get right into writing the inequalities. A number b plus 2.7 is greater than or equal to 3. So a number b plus 2.7 is greater than or equal to 3. And I want to write this as an inequality. This one is pretty much laid out right here for us. Plus means addition, and then greater than or equal to is going to be this guy right here. So b plus 2.7 is greater than or equal to 3. So that's how I'm going to just start this section out, is by writing the inequalities based on the words. Now let's think about what would be solutions here. A solution is anything that's going to make this true. So if I substitute 1 in for b, let's see if this would be true. I would have 1 plus 2.7, is that greater than or equal to 3? I get 3.7 is greater than or equal to 3. So yes, 1 is a possible solution, but 1's not the only solution, because I could put in 2. Then I'd have 2 plus 2.7. Is that greater than or equal to 3? I'd have 4.7, which is definitely greater than or equal to 3. So 2 is going to be a possibility. If I put in 3, 3 is going to work. But if I put in 0, I'd have 0 plus 2.7 greater than or equal to 3. 2.7 greater than or equal to 3. No. So 0, not a solution. So that's something to keep in mind, that with an equation, there was only one number that worked that could be substituted in for our variable. And in inequalities, there are a whole bunch of numbers. So that's where we're going with this. You're going to be asked to tell if a certain number is a solution or not of an inequality. So for example, let's decide if -2 is a solution of these inequalities. X minus 4 is less than -10, and 2.3x is greater than -5. So let's decide, is this x equals -2? Is that a solution of either of these? So I'm going to substitute it right in. -2 minus 4 is less than -10. -2 minus 4, that's the same as -2 plus a -4, which is -6. Is -6 less than 10? Nope. So for A, -2 is not a solution. There are lots of solutions, but -2 is not one of them. Let's try it now in B and substitute in, for that x, I have 2.3 times -2 is greater than -5, and I'm checking to see if that works or not. 2.3 times 2 would be 4.6, but this is a positive and this is a negative, so -4.6. Is -4.6 greater than -5? Yes, it is. So -2 is a possible solution here. Again, it's not the only one, it's just one of many. Finally, we want to graph our inequalities. So the way that the graphing works is, if I give you an inequality, like for example, y is greater than or equal to -5. I'm going to draw my number line, and this is saying that any number that is -5 or greater is a possible solution. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means my original starting point is going to be at -5. Because this is greater than or equal to, I'm going to use a filled in circle to represent -5. It means -5 is a possibility. So I fill it in. And then y can be any number that's greater than or equal to -5. So to decide which direction my arrow is going to go, if it's going to point to the left or if it's going to point to the right, I'm going to think about 0. Is 0 greater than or equal to -5? Yes, it definitely is. That means I want my arrow pointing in the 0 direction. One of the ways that I graph is I actually draw my graph above the number line a little bit, or my line above the number line. That way you can see it's definitely going in that direction. Another thing is you could just make it dark. And then it's any number above here. It doesn't stop at 0. It goes and goes and goes and goes. So I draw the arrow on the end. If I had something a little bit different, if I had, for example, let's see, b is less than -3, I'm going to draw my number line. There's 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And here my starting point is at -3. But -3 actually is not included. If I put -3 in for b, I would get -3 is less than -3, which is definitely not true. So I need an open circle. This tells me I need an open circle at -3. So 1, 2, 3, and I draw an open circle. It means everything up to -3 is a solution, but -3 actually isn't. And then from here, I need to decide, are we talking about the numbers that are less than -3 or greater than -3? It says b is less than -3, so my arrow is going to be pointing toward the numbers that are less than -3. I could also check, is 0 less than or equal to -3? Nope, 0 is greater than, so I don't want to point at the 0. I want to point away from 0. So that is how I'm going to graph my inequalities. So that's the whole lesson for today, so you can get started on your homework.